Hello, fellow Sudokans, and welcome to Zen and the Art of the Guardian Sudoku Puzzle. It's Monday, the 9th of December 2024. As always, on a Monday morning here, the Guardian's easy level puzzle serves as as an introduction into Sudoku. So if you're a beginner and never played Sudoku before, don't worry. I shall be explaining the rules and the basic techniques of how to play Sudoku in just a moment. What's going on in the rest of the world? If you thought that Putin was a nasty guy, well, apparently he has a humanitarian side. How do we know this? The Interfax news agency, that's the Russian state media, has said that Bashar al-Assad has arrived in Moscow. That's the report there, although the source is not named. And he is allowed to stay on humanitarian grounds. Yes. So if you thought the person responsible for invading a country, needlessly murdering thousands and thousands of people, didn't have a nice side, there you go. He's a kind guy, really. He's let Assad in on humanitarian grounds. Birds of a feather, huh? In the meantime, in Syria, lots of prison cell doors are being opened, unlocked, and people have hopes. Some people have hopes of actually finding relatives after a very long time. Some people are going to be disappointed because they'll find out that in fact those people have already been executed. But there are some people who are managing to meet up with relatives long lost, decades of prison for basically what most people consider meaningless crimes or things that should not be crimes. So there's some good news there for some people. Shall we play our game of Sudoku? What do we do? Well, we have a grid of 9 squares in every row, and a grid of 9 squares in every column. And of course, you can see randomly, you might think, digits scattered about, but these are not randomly scattered about. These digits are carefully placed to allow us to finish the game using our understanding of logic. And what logic is we need a kind of yes or no logic. We can or we can't. That's it. Nothing else. You don't need to understand the scientific method or other things, really. None of that is really essential. It's a very simple kind of logic. What is it that we need to understand? Well, the point about there being 9 squares in each row and each column is the thing that's going to help us. You see that we have numbers between 1 and 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We don't have any 10s or 11s or anything else. Now, the point is that because there are only 9 squares, it means that each number can fit into each row or column only once. So I have a 9 in this row already. It means there can't be any more 9s. I have a 7. There can't be any more 7s because there are only 9 squares. That seems to be fairly obvious, doesn't it? Right? Okay, great. Something I haven't told you, though. We've got these blocks that are outlined, and they also have 9 squares. And that's essential because without it, it wouldn't work, would it? We also have these outlined sections of 3 by 3, and of course, that means there are 9 squares there that are filled. Same thing, a number can only appear once in its grid. It's a simple idea, invented in the 1970s, I think it was, in America, despite its Japanese name, but popularized in Japan and played all over the world. So now you're going to become a Sudokan, which is a word I invented a few years ago when I started this channel. Right. So how do we use our logic then? Okay, so let's look, I can see something. So let's have a look at this block down here, which has digit 3 and digit 7 and nothing else. So we have to get all of the other numbers. But by looking outside this box, I can see a digit, at least one digit. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I can see. I noticed that up here we have 8 in this column. Now that means that 8 is forbidden from reappearing in this column, right? And here we have 8 in this column, and that means that 8 is forbidden from appearing in this column. So now how do these two 8s affect this particular box down here? Well, we've got 8 blocking this square, and this square, and we've got this 8 blocking these 2 squares. So now we are limited to only 2 possibilities, right? There's only this square and this square that's still available. And when we look across here, we find there's an 8 here, and that 8 is going to stop any other square in this row from becoming an 8. And therefore this square is also forbidden. And now we've got, of course, we've got 7 already here, and so we can see that there is only one empty space available. And we know, we absolutely know, you don't have to look for any other numbers or anything else. If there is only one space available, then that must be where the number goes. That's what you need to remember. Now, in this same block down here, I sometimes call it box or a block, but this 3 by 3 grid down here, there's another number that we can find. We can find a digit 1 in this block by clicking on the 1 here, or just looking. If you've printed this out, you can just look along and see, and you'll see that 1 is already in this row, and so we can't have any other 1s in this row. We've got 1 in this row, and so we can't have any other 1s in this row. So again, we have removed 1, 2, 3, 4 cells or squares from our consideration. And when we think that when we notice that there's a 1 up here, right, and 1 can only appear in this column one time, we know that this square can't be 1, and so again we are left with only one possibility, and we know that the 1 must fit there. Are you getting the hang of it? Good, because that's really all you need to do, but you need to do that on a kind of larger scale. And I say that's all you need to do. There are some tricks and techniques that we need to do as well, but we'll get to those after we've done our basic idea. Right now, there are only 3 empty squares in this block here, and I can see that we have a 2 in this column here, and we have a 2 in this column here, and so immediately neither of these 2 squares are available, and so we know that the 2 must fit there. Let's see what's missing. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no 6. We've got 7. There's no 8. And we've got 9. So we know that the 2 empty squares must contain 6 or 8. These 2 squares must be 6 and 8. So if you think about it, either this square is 6 and this is 8, or this is 6 and this is 8. And I think because this 8 is so close by, I think you're probably ahead of me already, and you know that this square can't be 8, can it? So that means that 8 is going to appear here, and 6 is going to be in this square, just so, right? Okay, the next number I can see is I can find a digit 1 up here. Do you want to, I'll give you a few seconds to have a look and see if you can see why that's true. It's fairly easy to see, I think. Remember, we're looking for ones outside this box and see how they interact. Okay, so now I'll click on the 1s, and you can see that we've got 1 blocking across here, 1 blocking across here, and 1 blocking up there. So that will give us 1 in that square there. By the way, I don't play any of these games ahead of time, and so I don't know I haven't got the game worked out yet. I have to play the game live along with you, and that's true for any game on this channel, from the beginner level to the expert level puzzles that we sometimes play. So sometimes it takes me a little while to work out what's going on as well. Now this is an important concept. Alright, so we've got 4 blocking down here, so that means 4 can't be in these 2 squares. It can be here, and it can be here. Which one is true? I don't know, because when I look up here I don't have any other 4s to help me, but I do know that 4 is in one of these 2 squares here. So now if 4 is in this square, it can't be anywhere along here, and if 4 is here, it still can't be along here. So it means that we have knocked out any of these squares across here, because we know that 4 is either here or here, right? So let's come back to this block, the one that we began with, And we can see that this square and this square can't be 4. And now we've got 4 up here as well, and that blocks across there. So none of these squares can be 4, but we can find a 4 in that square there. Now actually you could have found 4 by 4 blocking down here and 4 blocking down here, and that would have given you the digit there. But I wanted to show you this because this is an important concept that you need to think about and use. Right now, also the other thing you notice we found that 4 in 2 different possible ways, and this is a really good thing about Sudoku, is that very often there are multiple ways to find the same information, and that's good for us because you don't have to play the game in the same way that other people do. I play this game I play various games during the day, and lots of people play the game in a different way to me, come up with the same solution in the end, but they play the game in a different way. Right, now let's have a look at this column down here. Now we've got 3 digits missing, and I noticed that one of the missing digits is 5. Well, I don't see a 5 in this column. We've got 1, 3, 7, 6, 4, and 2. There's no 5. But what I have noticed is 5 stops this square from being a 5, and 5 up here stops this square from being a 5. Right, so blocked here, blocked there, so there's only one empty square available in this column, and we know that the 5 has to go there. I'll look and see what the missing squares are. I haven't even worked it out yet. Like I said, I played these games live, so I don't know, but let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so the missing numbers must be 8 and 9. Okay, that's pretty easy. So we've got 9 blocking there, and in fact we've also got 8 blocking there. So you can do this in one of 2 ways. You can say 8 blocks here, so this is the 9, or you could say 9 blocks here, so this is the 8. You will get the same information. Now 8 blocks down here and 8 blocks across here. I'll try and pick up a little bit of speed if I'm doing very easy things, but if I need to explain something in a bit more detail, I will. Okay, there are 3 empty squares in this row. One of the missing digits that will fill one of these squares is 2. Now this 2 here actually blocks all other squares here, right? So neither of these 2 squares can be 2. So we know that 2 is going to be over here. Now also we had 2 blocking there and 2 blocking there. So again, different numbers, but still finding the same point, is that 2 has to be here. So the missing digits here now, let's see what they are. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't have 6 and we don't have 7. Now, which is which? We don't have 6 and we don't have 7. So we look up here and we're looking for 6s or 7s, and guess what? We don't know. But this is another important teaching point here, is that if these 2 squares can only be 6 or 7, these squares here can't be 6 or 7. They must be something else. So we've got 1, 2. We don't have 3, and we don't have 5. And in fact, if you look across 3 and 5, both block across here, so we know that 3 and 5 are in these squares here. Does it help us? In this case, it actually doesn't. It very often does, but in this particular case, it's not going to help us. So that's okay. The point of the game is that we often spend a lot of time searching for things, and then it doesn't help us at that time, but maybe it helps us a bit later on. That's the joy of this game. The joy of this game is, just finishing the puzzle, putting in that final digit and knowing you have completed the puzzle, like a jigsaw, when you put the last piece in and the puzzle is solved. Alright, so we need to look elsewhere now. Where's an interesting place to be looking? Where can I find you the next thing? Okay, we have 7 in this block here. When we click on the 7s that are surrounding, we've got 7 blocking across here and 7 up there. So that will find us a 7 in that square. Now we take that 7 that we just placed and say 7 blocks up here and 7 blocks up here, and that will give us 7 in that square there. Now we're going to say 7 across here and 7 up here. Now what? We've got 2 empty squares again. Can we say which is which? No, but we know 7 is in one of these 2 squares. So 7 is here or here, like this. Okay, I'll highlight the 7 again. So 7 is in one of these 2 squares. Now, if it's in this square or this square, it doesn't matter. It's going to block down here. Okay, now 7 blocking up here, 7 blocking across here, 7 blocking across here. That means that we know that that has to be a 7. Where should we look next? All right, so if you're not making much progress, you can click on and highlight a digit if you're playing on a computer, or if you're not, you just have to focus. If you're doing it on paper, you just have to focus on one number at a time. So we're going to focus on digit 1 and see what we've got. Okay, we've got 1 blocking down here. So what do we know? We know that 1 is either in this square or this square, and we've got 1 blocking up here, and so we know in fact that 1 is in that square there. Now we'll take that 1, say 1 blocking across here, 1 blocking across here, 1 down blocking up, and 1 up blocking down. That will give us digit 1 there. And in fact, that's the last digit 1. We now have digit 1 in every row, every column, and every block. If you want to check on that, you'll see there are no more digit 1s to find. There are there are 9 instances of every digit. Okay. Right. We have 9 blocking down here, and we have 9 blocking across there. That will give us a 9 in that square there. We have 9 blocking up here and 9 across there. That will give us 9 in this square. So, you know, as we put more and more digits in, we have fewer and fewer white squares to fill in. By the way, they're sometimes called cells as well as squares. Not the kind of cells that they have in Syria. Okay, we have 2 blocking across here. So we know that 2, oh no, in fact we have 2 blocking across here, sorry. So that's going to give us 2 in that square, then 2 blocking down here, 2 across there. It means that that has to be a 2. We don't have 3 in this column yet, but I see a 3 here, which means that that can't be 3 because it's in the same block. So that has to be a 3. And now there's only one more number left to get in this column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't have a 6. So that has to be a 6. Now there's only one number left to get in this block. We don't have 5 yet, so we know that that's going to be a 5. And now back up here, there's only one number left for this column. And that is 6. I think we don't have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no 6. So 6 here. And now we only have 1 left here. You see how it's narrowing down our choices beautifully, and that's going to be a 3. Now there are only 3 empty squares here. The missing numbers have to be 2, 6, and 9. We have a 2 blocking here, we have a 6 blocking here, and a 9 blocking there. So that's not enough information to get these yet. We will leave those squares until later. Let's see what else is available to us. Okay, in this column here, we don't yet have a 5. We've got 5 blocking this square, 5 blocking this square, and 5 blocking this square here. So, in fact, that has to be a 5. Now, if you remember, we actually worked out that these 2 squares are, we worked out these 2 squares, right, which were, I've forgotten, let's have another look. 6 and 7, we need 6 and 7 for this row. Okay, we don't have 6 or 7. And that meant that these 2 squares here have to be 5 and 3. Or you could just say 3 blocks across there, and that will give us the 3 there. But either way, we come up with the same number. Now we know our 6 blocks this square here, so in fact this has to be the 6 and this has to be the 7, and now 7 blocking up here will give us 7 in that square. We're going to go a little bit faster now because the video is going to take too long, and I want to just finish a few more digits that are pretty easy to see. We have 8 blocking this square. We have 2 empty squares here. They have to be 3 and 8, so this will be the 8 and this will be the 3. And we have 3 blocking across here, which gives us 3 in that square, 3 down here and 3 across here and across there, which means that that is a 3. Then we take that 3 down here, 3 down there, so that has to be a 3. There's only one number left to get in this row. We don't yet have a 4, so that's a 4. Now there's only one number for this row or this block, whichever way is easiest for you to see it. It's got to be a 6. 6 in the row, 6 in the block. Right. There's one empty square up here. Of course, if you've only got one empty square, we know that we have to be able to find it, so that's the easiest way to go forward always. This is going to be a 4, and now we've only got one digit for this column or this block, and that's going to be a 6. We have 3 empty squares here, either for this row or for this block. The missing numbers must be 4, 5 and 9, and we've got 4 blocking up here and 4 blocking up here, so that gives us 4 there. We've got 5 blocking up here, that gives us 5 there, and the last number is 9. One empty square here, that can be filled by a 5, and that's the last digit, 5. So just to let you know, we've already completed 1, 3, 4, 5 and 7. I can see that on my solver here, so I know we're looking for 2, 6, 8 and 9 only. Everything else has been done. Right, so we've got 2 empty squares for this column. Let's see what's missing. 2 is missing. Immediately I see we don't have a 2, so when I see the 2 blocking here, I know that that's going to be a 2. The missing number now is 6, I think. Okay, now we've got 6 across here and across here. Will give me the 6 here, or that's just simply the empty space for this row. Like I say, different ways, same information. We have 2 blocking across here, that puts 2 into that square, and the last number here in this block or this column now is 9. 9 blocks across here, that gives me 9 there, and guess what, here's the satisfying part, filling in that last digit, which is going to be an 8, and now you have completed your easy level puzzle. And there are lots and lots of easy level games on this channel that you can go through and practice. And sometimes I'll show you some different techniques as well, so my suggestion, play a few easy level games yourself and then move up to the medium level puzzle as you get a bit better. That's it. Thank you. Bye bye.